All right, so you can tell if you watch the episodes that we're huge Warren Ellis fans. On Tuesday, we kind of had a Warren Ellis love fest here. But, you know, it's no surprise. He does really strong work. Anna Mercury is his newest, well, until this past week, because No Hero just came out, but his newest work from Avatar. Number 2 just came out recently. And I didn't review the first issue because I didn't really know what to make of it. The first issue kind of sets you up in this weird world, and at the end of it, you don't know if it's like some fantasy setting or some virtual reality thing or exactly what it is. Well, in the second issue, you get the full info dump. There's this weird program. Actually, I'm not going to give too much of it away because it's actually a kind of a cool plot device where everything gets explained. But needless to say, Anna Mercury is an agent who can do things better than other people. You know, she's a kick-ass redhead, right? And as much as I didn't know what to expect from the first issue, the second issue actually sets up this like weird kind of like alternate reality Earth that, I don't know, enough of the things play right so that I can actually believe that if there was this thing going on, it'd probably kind of, you know, people would want it to fall like this. The art by, and forgive me if I butcher his name, Facundo Percio. I'm really sorry. I know I got that wrong, but it is good. It's very competent. It's he likes to draw Anna with a lot of hair, and sometimes that gets a little weird. But it's a very clear when he's drawing this other place. There's real subtle things you can tell this isn't our Earth. And I think that's why I really like his art. It's really strong in the fact that when he's on our Earth, it's very clear and everything's mundane. And on this other Earth, everything's just a little off. And I think that's really a credit to his art. Again, maybe not the best review, but it's one of those books that I think until we get to the 4th or 5th issue, we might not even know what's going on. And I don't want to give too much of it away. But if you were hesitant after the first issue, definitely pick up the second issue because they give you everything you need to know and really set it up to go forward to the point where it's like, okay, I'm actually excited about this book. And, Warren Ellis has yet to do anything in the last couple of years that's been, not interesting. And this is not a book that I've read before.
All right, well, it wouldn't be a statue review if we didn't have another awesome Batman black and white statue. And this one is something that and I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there have been looking forward to because it's been quite a while being in the process of coming out. It's finally here, the awesome Frank Miller Batman black and white statue. There's so many good things about this statue. If you're a Batman fan or just a statue fan in general, the detailing, the costume, the pose, the rope, everything about this statue is really, really on point with the way that Frank Miller did Batman, and just keeping in touch with like the rest of the other statues that they have. It really looks good with the other ones. I have a few more at home, and it's just, they're doing such a good job with the black and whites. But there's that one thing that everyone's kind of complaining about, myself included. When they first came out, they were $50. This one is now $65. Soon it's going to be $70. Soon it'll be $80. Soon it's going to be like gas, and we're just going to pay like $100 for these statues. It's ridiculous. But this one, with only the $15 increase, is still worth every penny. It's just, like I said, it's classic Frank Miller Batman. He's got a great pose. The detailing on the rope I thought was cool. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's, actual rope. That's lame. No, it's like wire twisted to make it look like rope, which is even better than rope. It's wire. But anyway, enough about that. More about the awesome detail that they did to the cape. It really has a nice flow around the shoulders where it meets in like the front, goes to the back. You see how everything kind of like crisscrosses and all that. And it really has a nice look and a nice feel to the whole back part of this statue. Really great piece. And my one complaint, which is kind of a big thing with this statue, is that the detailing in Batman's face really isn't like how it should be for this version of the Caped Crusader. He's got a very smooth, if not baby bottom smooth, chin. Now we all know that in Dark Knight Returns, Batman's like old and angry. And even on the box art, they have a nice picture of the statue's face. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be like wrinkled and some crumbs in there and some stubble. No, it's very smooth, very not looking like an old Batman. Other than that, everything's great. Like I said before, detailing in the costume, the boots, the cape, everything on this is a really, really great piece. If you've been buying these Batman black and whites, definitely get this one. And if you haven't started, this is an excellent piece to start with.
So it's seemingly the Mark Miller month. We've got Mark Miller doing Fantastic Four, Kick-Ass, his movies opening, Want is opening this weekend, Marvel 1985. I mean, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting Mark Miller on the stands this week. And perhaps maybe the biggest release, besides, the movie release, is Wolverine 66, Old Man Logan. He's teaming up with Steve McNiven, his Civil War artist, and they're telling the last, well, maybe not last, but the end story of Wolverine. It's not the end that Marvel likes to do, but, anyways. I think Mark Miller's kind of seeing this as his Dark Knight Returns kind of thing, except with Wolverine. It's the future, something very horrible, that's a little cliched, has happened. The heroes lost, the villains won, they control the world. And Wolverine basically gave up. Flash forward 20, 30 years, and Wolverine is an old man. He's living as a pacifist. And he's got his farm, he's got his kids, and he's trying to make ends meet. Of course, he doesn't. The inbred, which again is a little, Mark Miller gets a little much sometimes. The inbred Hulk family, it's like Bruce Banner's grandkids. Apparently, they're his, landlord, and that part of the story I'm not so happy about. But ultimately, the reason I like this book is it kind of reads like those westerns where the gunfighter has hung up his guns, and he's decided to retire and just try to live a peaceful life. But invariably, something happens where he has to get back into the game. And I think the good part of this story is going to be how long it takes Logan, because he doesn't like people calling him Wolverine anymore, how long it's going to take him to keep those animal instincts in check, and then when he finally just lets loose. Because with Wolverine, that once he lets go, it's hard to put that demon back in the bottle. And I actually have a lot of hope for this series. It starts very promising, and it's, it has me more excited than his Fantastic Four stuff. So I'm very excited about that. The art by McNiven is actually very strong. I mean, granted, he's kind of drawing a wasteland, so there's lots of open space and not a lot of backgrounds. But his character work is very, very strong, and it actually looks like we're in a wasteland. So, like I said, a very strong start to Old Man Logan. I know this is a book that people have been waiting for, and I actually wasn't let down, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Hey guys, I got another double dose of reviews for you, this time starting off with the last issue to the Hatchet Job storyline for Fear Agent. Amazing issue, really great storyline. It was kind of wavering in the middle, but the end wraps it up really, really nicely. And it played, to me, I pick up on these things when I'm reading it. Granted, there's all this really deep emotional stuff going on, which I really liked in this issue. I mean, Rick Remender, awesome job with the writing for this. 2 thumbs up in my opinion. But the way that they end it, they bring you to a realm of science fiction and space and astrophysics and all that stuff that a lot of movies or TV shows or whatever just don't deliver. And Fear Agent delivers it. I'm not going to give it away because it's really going to pan out from the next storyline, well, what I'm guessing. And it's just a really nice touch. It's like, hey, they're taking this weird route. What kind of alternate things are they going to do with this? So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes out. But this issue is just solid. A lot goes on between Heath and his former wife, current wife, whatever she is, and, her husband that he killed issues back. Really, really great stuff with that. And just, it's going back more to the tradition of what Fear Agent was kind of in the first, 6 issues. Whereas Heath Houston now he's brought down again, and is just looking out for one person, and that's himself. And it kind of brings him on that wild roller coaster ride of cowboy western romp through space. So, looking forward to seeing where that's going. And the second one for this review is issue 25 of the Goon. Now, yeah, people look at me, whatever. It's issue 25 of the Goon. Now, last issue was kind of not really a cop-out, but it was just half a story and then another story by somebody else. But it really set up the steam for this issue. Whereas last issue, they brought back Buzzard, something's going to go down, they have his origin and, the connections to these woods that are outside of the town. And now it brings him into that, and it brings him into connection to the Goon's fate, and what the Goon plays in everything that's going on right now. And it's really, really getting heavy. The Goon almost leaves town, but then, he can't because he's the Goon. And everything going on with Labrazio, the gypsies, this, ancient unspeakable evil that's, formed itself and is now plaguing the town and gonna start all this chaos. Zombie Priest is out of the picture. All this stuff's going on. And like it says on the last page, the war starts now. And if you've been reading, you know exactly what I'm getting at. And I'm just really looking forward to the next issues because this really built up the story. And when Eric Powell says something like the war starts now, you know it's going to be gory, it's going to be violent, and it's going to have a lot of weird 1930s slang in it. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, guys, big book right here. Captain America issues 38 and 39, back-to-back double dose for you guys because this book, you're not reading it. This book is amazing. It's taking a lot of continuity from Captain America's legacy, which is very cloudy at times and a bit squeamish when you go through all the people who've donned the cowl and the shield and all the tricky history and the quote-unquote deaths he's gone through. And Brubaker's doing a magnificent job of somewhat cleaning it up, yet respecting what happened and kind of going from there. So if you're reading this series, if you've been reading this series since issue 1, stay on. What we have here, based on last issue's huge revelation, huge, that if you haven't read it, I'm going to have to let it go right here. The Grand Director is alive. And for those of you who don't know the Grand Director, go Google that up, Wikipedia, do something. For those of you who do, you're probably like, what? It's a huge deal because he used to be Cap back in the 50s, and he's around right now. And along with the Red Skull's other plans, which are going off without a hitch, it's looking really bad for our heroes right now. Between Bucky, Sam Wilson, Tony's off dealing with S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff and the whole Secret Invasion, so they're kind of leaving him out of the book, which is good. Great timing. All in all, things are falling apart for the heroes. The Third Wing Party, the political wing that the Red Skull has, summoned up and just created out of nowhere, is completely sweeping the United States. He's gaining supporters from all over the world, and it's unbelievable. This is going off like the villains have basically won. I mean, Cap is out of the picture, so you're thinking, oh, this story's over. There's just a supporting cast who's gonna take it over from here and somehow battle back the tide, and it's just not looking that way. At least not now, and we're already through Act 3 of the American Dream. Art-wise, you gotta love Steve Epting. This is the greatest kind of creative art team, dialogue team since I can remember. The art for this book is very dramatic. When you look at each panel, it's just like there's something in there. There's something for panel. There's something for each word. The look in someone's eye, the glance there, the shadowing, the inking. It's all there. This book is magnificent in every way, and each cover just makes you want to just pick it up and open it. Like, what does this mean? What is that? I don't get it. 2 Caps on one cover, and it's great. So on to issue 39. We have the Grand Director, so we have both Caps meeting each other towards the end of that book. It's a face-off. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. And then Sharon Carter is kind of locked up in the whole base where Dr. Fawcett is having his way with her. And it's really funny. She has this great little outlook on her life so far, where she's lost the man she loves. She's pregnant with the man she loves, baby. And now she's laying in a bed next to psychotic daughter of a former, Hitler associate, and it's just, this is her own personal hell, which I think is kind of funny. It's just kind of finding some humor in there. And she goes off the deep end, and she's able to, rework the situation in her favor. So Sharon's looking like a really cool character right now, and I can't wait to see where the whole pregnancy thing goes. It's a very tricky subject right there, especially in this kind of book and just where the direction's going creative-wise. All in all, Captain America, you have to read this book. This book is only going to get better and better, and with 2 Caps facing each other, what is there to miss? All-out action. Thank you, Brubaker.
All right, I don't have a double dose of comics, but I have one review of a graphic novel that came out. It's called Monster Zoo by one of my all-time favorite writers and artists, Doug Tennepool. If you've been watching the show, I've reviewed other books that he's done, and seriously, I've noticed it's a really good time to be a fan of his, because his books are coming out with only a few months in between them instead of a few years between them, which I think is great, because honestly, his last book, Flink, was kind of a letdown for me. But Monster Zoo delivers in full force. This is, if you've been reading his work since, Creature Tech, Gear was kind of off the walls, but if you've been reading his stuff like Tommysaurus Rex, Earthboy Jacobus, this is more along those lines. It kind of goes more into, it's a ridiculous story that's more in a, not really fantasy world, but just, it's really out there. It's surreal. And it brings such, a homeness to it. Everybody can relate to it. The characters are likable. They're human characters. They're kind of people that you run in on the streets, but they're thrown to this zoo that has these animals turn into these animal monster demons because the Ungabe, or whatever statue, is brought back from Africa and put in this zoo, and apparently it's a vengeful animal spirit. So it lets everything go amok, because, people don't really treat animals well. I mean, they're in cages at zoos. But anyway, it goes off like that, so on and so forth. It's all trial and error by our protagonists. Our main character finds the hero within to overcome his obstacles, yada yada yada, touching story. but seriously, it's the artwork that really gets you in this book. All the animals, he takes something as simple and innocent as a giraffe and makes it this horrific monster that you'd never imagine to come out of a giraffe. Really, really great work, and rumor has it that Sam Raimi's production company or something has the rights for this to put it into a movie. I don't know how they would make it look like that, but anyway, that's a rumor going around. So yeah, another good book by Doug Tenenbaum, way better than Flink. Not up there with Black Cherry, but few things are, but still a good read. If you're looking for something out of the ordinary, definitely pick it up.
So probably one of the most eagerly awaited books, at least where I work in my store, was Skaar, Son of Hulk. This was a book that they set up months ago at the end of World War Hulk. And since then, I've had people asking me, when is this book coming out? Well, it finally came out a couple weeks ago, and I gotta say, it's a very strong start. Basically, if you know anything about Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, the Hulk found peace, settled down, had some love, and, time passes and there's a result of this. And he actually didn't even know that that he was going to have a son. So I think that going forward in this book, there's going to be a really interesting moment between the Hulk and Skaar. But anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Skaar's mother obviously does not make it. But because Skaar is a mix of the Hulk and the old strong, he can survive in this really harsh world, and she puts all her energy into actually letting him survive her death. That was the only part I was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. And I'm glad I did, because you got this little kid, and he's basically like the Hulk, and he's kicking ass. Well, anyways, he pops out, and he's got to immediately take on, these really horrific, really, really, really nasty things. And he does it without batting an eye. I mean, it's just like, it's hardcore. And it just keeps going and keeps going. And it's much like the Hulk when he went to Planet Hulk. He kind of grows into protecting these people. And they kind of flock around him. And then, of course, much like that, I think the story's kind of paralleling this. Somebody comes along and decides, we're going to eat these people and we're going to make slaves of these people. And, of course, Skaar's there, and he's going to try, take care of these people. Now, the interesting thing is, he doesn't have all the backstory and history and, whatever to make it all cliche. He's just kind of doing it unconsciously. It's just happening. It's not like he's got this, I need to protect these people because I'm stronger than they are. These people just kind of come up behind him, and I think eventually we're going to see that he has this innate nobility from both of his parents. And where he just kind of knows, the strong are there to protect the weak, not to take advantage of them. It's a book that it's a good start, and I want to see where it goes, because it could still hit that cliched territory. The art is fantastic. Ron Garney, who just finished up a run on Wolverine, definitely changed up his style here, and it's very savage and very rough. Perfectly suited for this book. I'm reading this book and I'm seeing this is a savage world. Very, very nasty things are happening. And the raw power that little Skaar has, and then as he grows, it's there. It's on the page. There's no denying this. I am continually impressed by Ron Garney. I mean, his work has just skyrocketed since, Spider-Man and then Wolverine. It's amazing stuff. All right, so this is a book that I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. Like I said, it's got that potential to kind of go a little cliche, but Greg Pak, he did us right on Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, and I'm kind of happy, with those stories. And so I'm gonna give this the benefit of the doubt, and it's not going to be just another barbarian story or anything like that. And with the Hulk, history in there, it's something weird happens at the end of this book, and I'm really intrigued to see where it's going.
Okay, that's it for another episode of Variant Edition.
I'd say that was a pretty good mix. Comics, statues, and movies.
Could be better. Where are all those interviews we keep talking about?
Oh yeah, I hear that Kevin has plans to have something starting in the next, year or so.
Well, we'll just have to see, won't we?
Yeah, I guess we will. And we're not going to tell you that it might help you see the interviews quicker or get episodes out on time, but don't forget that you can support Variant Edition by buying a t-shirt or becoming a viewer sponsor.
Wow, Nick, that was really subtle.
Subtlety is my middle name. But don't blame me. I'm reading what's on that screen, and I didn't write that. Kevin wrote it. So blame him for blaming me, because it's his fault.
And blame him I shall. But first, let's wrap things up. You know where to find us, variantedition.com.
Yeah, we've got links to all the sites that host our show and information on how to get those spiffy t-shirts.
Also, remember that Classic Comics in Albany, New Jersey is your friendly neighborhood comic shop, and they have t-shirts.
Yeah, and we don't just buy our comics here. They let us shoot the show here, too. And you can check out ClassicComics.com to find out how you can save up to 20% on your comics every week.
Before we go, we want to thank everyone who watches the show, and especially those of you who post comments or you mention us or talk to us in the forums.
Yeah, I mean, the show is a lot of work, so it's really nice to get some feedback. We do read all of them, positive or negative, and we appreciate all of them.
The negative shall be smoten. We'll have another viewer mail segment soon.
You know, Mike, that's a decent idea.
The smiting part?
Well, smite and viewer mail segment.
Viewer mail segment coming up soon. Bye.
See you next week. I said t-shirt. And I was like, just keep going. Yeah. T-shirt. Shirt. It was good.